Jack McKeon, the new manager, a big surprise. We've got our own problems, I guess, Joe.
Yeah, I'm not really shocked by that move. I was a little surprised by the choice of Jack McKeon. He hasn't managed since 1990, Skip, but you're right. John Smoltzie will try to get his ship going in the right direction. He went through streaks this year where John won 4 games and he lost 4. He won 2 and pitched brilliantly, didn't give up an earned run in 12 innings. And now in the last 2 starts, he's given up 11 earned runs in his last 15 innings of work. But if there's a ball club that can get John turned around, it's the Cincinnati Reds. He has pitched brilliantly against them this year. He is 2-0 against them, and he is 6-0 over his last 7 starts.
Do you know how close you came to scaring me to death when you started that statement? We'll be back with the starting lineups, the play-by-play story right after this.
Baseball on the Superstation is brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. Budweiser, the king of beers. By the 62,000 professionals at Delta Airlines, who proudly put you on top of the world. And by Discover Card, proud partner of the Smithsonian's 150th anniversary.
Well, the Cincinnati Reds have taken the field for Game 1 of this 3-game series, and here's Bobby Cox's starting lineup tonight, and it's a little different. Jeff Blauser will lead it off. Danny Bautista will bat second. Chipper Jones third. Fred McGriff remains the cleanup hitter. Andrew Jones and Javi Lopez will bat fifth and sixth. Bottom third of the order, Klesko, Lemke, and Smoltz. For the Reds defensively, in the outfield, Deion Sanders now plays left field for the Reds. John Nunley, recently acquired from the Kansas City Royals, is in center field. Reggie Sanders, just off the disabled list, is in right. Willie Green, Pokey Reese, Brett Boone, and Hal Morris from third to first. Joe Oliver will do the catching, and on the mound, Pete Schurik, 28 years old, 6'5", 207 out of Clifton, Virginia. Originally with the Mets. You can see that against the Braves he has struggled. He has also struggled health-wise. He just came off the disabled list, has only made 1 start since coming off the list, where he suffered some tendonitis in his left tricep. And the Braves will try to improve on the work that they've done against him already this year. They beat him 15-5 back in April.
And the first pitch of the ball game is hit on the ground to short. Reese has it. Throws out Blauser. 1 pitch, 1 out. And we're underway in Cincinnati. Temperature 87 degrees at game time. Supposed to be up in the mid-90s tomorrow. When we play an afternoon game that will not be televised, we'll be back with you at 2:10 on Sunday. Tomorrow's game, of course, on the Braves' far-flung radio network. Here's Danny Bautista. Jack McKeon was a manager when I first broadcast in Atlanta back in 1964. He's a beauty. Good guy. Pitch outside, 1 ball, no strikes. But everybody's shocked at Knight getting fired when he was fired. One and one the count. My personal opinion is, I read a story in the paper yesterday and had to read it twice, where he sort of said he had given up on 1997. That might have been the straw.
Made it sound that way anyway. That's the way it came across reading it.
The 1-1 on the outside corner. Gary Darling, our home plate umpire, with Paul Nauert, Charlie Rutherford, and Jim Quick around the bases. A ball and 2 strikes. A little bit inside. It's 2-2.
You see a lot of breaking balls from Schurik tonight. He has not yet felt comfortable getting back to the old velocity of his fastball and won't challenge too many guys.
A lot of scouts are here watching this game, and they're not all covering the Braves. The Reds have made it pretty clear that they'll listen with some of their big names for young talent.
A little reverse of what they normally do. Normally,
yeah.
Jim Bowden's out trying to beat the bushes to make a deal to improve his ball club for a pennant run.
High pop. Who wants it? Brett Boone calls for it. 2 out. So Bautista is retired. Here's Chipper Jones. A lot of Braves fans here, as there always are. Chipper at 302. His average is on a bit of a decline here. He's been a much better hitter from the left side than from the right. 1 ball, no strikes. Right-handed, just 258 with no homers and 11 RBI.
I'm wondering if this next 2 days will help him get going a little bit right-handed with 2 lefties starting the first 2 games.
2-0 the count.
But you're right, just 1 hit in his last 18 at bats.
Down the right field line, Sanders a long way to run, still going, cannot get there. It bounces into the seats for a book rule double. That's what it would have been anyway. There's a hit from the right side. A fly ball double right down the right field line gives Fred McGriff a chance to put the Braves on top. Fred has had good fortune against Schurik. 12 out of 32 with 2 home runs.
Reggie Sanders not playing him anywhere near that side of the field, right-handed. Had a long way to run, and of course Reggie just off the disabled list after a bad ankle sprain.
He celebrated his return with a 2-homer game. Boy, had a good cut, the high fastball, but he didn't get it. 0-1.
That's one of the things about their record, with Larkin missing so much of the season, Sanders missing so much, and Jeff Brantley, their closer,
And Schurik.
it's tough to figure. And of course Jim Bowden said in that clip we had that you're not blaming the record on Ray Knight, but felt like they needed to make a change anyway.
But if you're not blaming the record on Ray Knight, you don't fire him, so that doesn't add up.
True.
The 0-1 pitch. Outside snap throw to second. Chipper back easily. Joe Oliver showing off a pretty good arm.
They just finished up a series with the Florida Marlins, and the ball was going over the fence in rapid order, and it sounded like this is the time of year when it heats up around here that the ball is jumping in this ballpark. It's always been a good hitter's park.
Line outside, 2 balls and a strike. Fred way off in the home run department with 13, but he's got 58 RBIs. He's got an outside chance at 100, better chance at 85 to 90. And he's been swinging the bat much better in recent days. Schurik steps back off the mound. Speaking of guys coming off the disabled list and being a big help, how about Robin Ventura last night? After getting hurt on mid-March, he comes back and wins the game for the White Sox with a double. Good curveball, but it sweeps outside, and it's 3-1.
And Kenny Lofton back with the ball club. He did not go to Chicago with the team. You see him on the bench next to Mike Bilecki. Bobby wanted to see him take batting practice and run a little bit. He may be close to returning to action.
The 3-1. Here it is. There's a drive. If it stays fair, it is a foul ball. Boy, did he crush that. He missed by about 10-12 feet.
Let's see what the pitch was. Maybe a hanging breaking ball that Fred was a little quick on, and he knew it was going to hook foul.
3 balls, 2 strikes.
Their pitching staff 11th in the league in ERA with a 4.43 mark.
Grounded to first. Morris fields in short right field, wins the race to the bag, and the inning is over. 1 hit, no runs, no errors, 1 left. Bottom of the first, no score.
We go to the bottom half of the first inning here at Synergy Field. Here's the lineup for Jack McKeon. His first lineup is manager of the Cincinnati Reds. Deion Sanders at the top of the list. Pokey Reese and Reggie Sanders here in the first inning. Willie Green's the cleanup hitter. Then Joe Oliver and John Nunley. Bottom third of the order, Hal Morris, Brett Boone, who has picked it up a little bit offensively, and Pete Schurik, the pitcher. For the Braves in the outfield, Klusko, Andrew Jones, and Bautista left to right. Chipper Jones, Blauser, Lemke, and McGriff third to first. Javi Lopez will do the catching, and on the mound, making his 23rd start of the year, John Smoltz, who will try to even his record at best at 9-9. His first 20 starts against the Reds were kind of ugly in the results, but lately he has been mighty tough, and this year he's made 2 starts against them, 17 innings, 11 hits, only 2 runs allowed to them.
Deion Sanders finishes drawing his weird drawings in the batter's box, and now we're ready to go. He's a beauty. And Smoltz into the wind and the pitch. Fast strike right in there. Deion's having a good year. 284. Not many homers, 4, not many RBIs, 20, but 46 stolen bases in 58 tries.
Yeah, their team leading the National League in stolen bases.
Oh, 2. Deion now has popularized that sleeveless look. Everybody's wearing it. He did it in honor of Jackie Robinson, who never wore his uniform like that.
Yeah, the road uni has a little cut on their sleeve.
He really spreads out in that batter's box. That didn't miss by much. A ball and 2 strikes. When will Deion join the Cowboys? That is one of the questions being asked around here.
Well, if they're going to start making changes and plan for next year, he could join them right away. Start practice.
Breaking ball gets him, 1 down.
I mean, wouldn't that make sense to you? If they're actually just if they're gonna make some deals, trade some guys, if they make those deals, get some young players, plan for the future, and don't plan on making it very competitive down the stretch, then you could go ahead and go to the Cowboy camp.
And go through 2-a-days? Are you crazy? Pokey Reese, the batter. The young shortstop out of our part of the world, Columbia, South Carolina. Went to Lower Richland High School in Hopkins. Smoltz delivers. Boy, he's using that fastball tonight in the early going. 1 ball, no strikes. Reese hitting .229. Reggie Sanders on deck. Throw it right by him. A ball and a strike.
It used to be that Jack Llewellyn would wear a red shirt on nights that John Smoltz pitched. John can look behind the plate tonight and see about 10,000 of them. That'll draw some strength from that.
Good thing John wasn't a punter for Nebraska. The 1-1 pitch fouled back. It's 1-2. Ray Knight has another year on his contract, so I imagine he'll go home and just ponder what to do next.
Does he?
I believe he does.
I thought his deal was up and that they had offered him an opportunity to stay in the organization as a consultant. I don't know if that's been accepted or not.
Made him look awful. John has struck out the first 2 men he's faced. Here's Reggie Sanders. Joe told you, just back off the disabled list, hitting .241, 9 homers.
Three for 7 since he came back off the list. All 3 hits, homers.
I don't see anything in the book, but now that I think about it, Joe, I think you're right. I think this is the last year of his deal. Reggie fouls it off, 0-1. Willie Green is on deck. Sorry to hear that our friend Terry Pendleton was released here, but he had a wonderful thing to say. In the press here, he said, I came into this game quietly. I'm going to go out the same way.
Good for him. Wow. I still think he'll find a job the last 2 months. The teams that are looking for some help and some leadership and a good bat. Some contender will call him. Some other tough decisions for Jim Boney. Also sent Jeff Branson back to the minor leagues.
1-2. He's had an awful year, but I've always liked him a lot.
Branson?
Yeah.
You bet. I think the deal with Branson is that he would accept the assignment through the 31st. If they didn't make any deals that might bring him back to Cincinnati or trade him, then he would be given his unconditional release.
The 1-2 pitch. Can he strike out the side? No. Who wants it? Andrew. Inning over. 1-2-3. Nothing doing. After 1, no score. Andrew Jones leads off the 2nd inning against Pete Shurik. He's never faced him before. and takes a strike that just barely nipped the outside corner. 0-1.
It won't take long for the Braves dugout to be passed the information from one to the other about all of these curveballs.
A ball and a strike. Two and one the count now. Andrew, Javi Lopez, Ryan Klesko due up here in the second. Tom Glavine and an old friend Kent Merker tomorrow. Over the inside corner, it's 2-2. And then we're back with you at 2:10 on Sunday. Maddox and Burba pitch that one. And Andrews out on strikes, one away. First strikeout for Schurik. Here's Javi Lopez, 2 out of 9 against the Reds left-hand.
Braves are 5-0 against the Reds this year, and it really is as lopsided as the record would indicate. These games came early in the year, though, and the difference, huge difference, of course, in home runs. And look at the ERA difference. Mercy.
It's funny what motivates players, gets them going. Jeff Shaw, the reliever, having a big year for the Reds. He's got 20 saves. 0-1 the count to Javi. Born and raised 65 miles from here, and he commutes every day 130 miles round trip to the ballpark and back to his home. And he says he just feels more comfortable and he's having the best year of his life. Strange. Oh, and 2 the count. Said he gets to take his kids to school and mow the lawn, and
there's more of a routine, obviously.
Lined into right center field. Sanders is going to go get it. He does. 2 down. Reggie Sanders handles that well hit ball, and Ryan Klesko will be the batsman. Get ready for curveball, Ryan.
You know, the more you go around to some of the ballparks you've been to for years, you never really thought about it until Turner Field started this year. But I never thought about this ballpark being that small in the gaps, but compared to Turner Field,
yeah,
especially in right center, a lot closer here.
Inside, 1 ball, no strikes.
Of course, the hitters would like to tell you that the only players consulted on the dimensions of Turner Field were Tom Glavine and John Smoltzie and Greg Maddox.
Hit hard, but foul, pass first. It's looking pretty good now for a new ballpark to be built here, they tell me.
Right between these two.
Yeah.
The arena and the stadium, huh?
And then I guess they would tear this one down. Little chopper down the first baseline. Schurik off the mound. Fields throws. Bad throw. He's safe. See how they scored. They might give him a hit.
Yeah, I would. Tough play. And Ryan smelled a base hit when he was running down the line, too. He knew it was going to be a tough play for Schurik to field it and throw it where Morris could catch it without hitting the runner. Let's see if Ryan stayed in foul territory, too. It is a base hit.
Yep.
And he did at least stay on the line, if not in foul territory.
Mark Lepke hitting right-handed against Schurik. The Lemmer 3 out of 10 against him in his career. He's hitting .298 right-handed this year. Klesko edges away at first. 2-0 the count. Pitcher John Smoltz waits on deck. What do you figure, 25,000 or so at Riverfront or Synergy Field?
Uh-huh. Maybe a little more than that. They're averaging 22.6. I saw Marge Schott here at the ballpark this evening. Is she allowed to be a part of the team yet?
I don't think so. She had her little puppy with her. Three and one. It was a heartwarming sight, wasn't it, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Dews runs through the signs at third. full count, so Klesko will go on the 3-2 pitch.
A rare fastball for a strike. Lemke's hit well right-handed. This is a chance for him to bump his average up next couple of days, because his right-handed average very good, 298.
There goes the runner. Foul tipped it back. Still 3-2.
3-2 curve.
They don't put the other scores up here very often, so we can't really give them to you.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, and they do have the retired numbers of Freddie Hutchinson and Johnny Bench on the wall out in left field, but it'd be nice to see some commemoration to the Big Red Machine and their World Championships too.
Runner goes outside. 2 on, 2 out. The pitcher hitting, but a pitcher hitting .327. First walk for Shurik. So John Smoltz with a chance to help himself. The outfield. Look how deep they play him, and around toward right, but just a little bit. 0-1 curveball.
I was talking to Kent Merker before the ball game, who's been pitching pretty well. He's 7-7 on the year. I said, you know, I keep hearing the names of Shurik and Smiley and Burba mentioned as possible acquisitions by other teams. So what about Kent Merker? And he said, well, you never hear my name, so that probably means I'll be the first to go.
It's probably right. A lot of teams would like to have him. He has really turned it around.
His ERA 3.58. He'll start tomorrow.
The 1-1 pitch. Inside, 2 balls and a strike. Peter Lasser, our producer tonight, and Roy Alfers, our director. Poor Roy. It's not fair. He had to work with me Wednesday, had to work with Chip yesterday, has to work with me again today. Three balls and a strike. Blauser would be next.
I wonder what all that Mr. Carey stuff was about.
No, he's just to make it easy. It's hard to keep Chip and Skip apart, so he just calls us both Drip.
That's better what most of us call you.
I know it. I'm thankful. The 3-1 pitch is the runner's lead. Here 'tis. He walked him, and the bases are loaded. An infield a single, and 2 walks. And Jeff Blauser, the batter. Jeff is 3 out of 19. A home run included against Shurik in his career.
Suddenly can't get that curveball over either. And then when he does, it gets hit.
Klesko with that infield single is at third. Lemke with a walk, Smoltz with a walk at second and first respectively. Pop down the right field line. Everybody chasing it. Now to play into the seats. 0-1. So Shurik gets ahead of Blauser. The 0-1. Fouled it back. He's ahead 0-2.
Like he threw Lemke a 3-2 curveball. Odds are pretty good. Jeff's going to see an 0-2 breaking ball of some sort, or perhaps a changeup.
The 0-2. Swung on a drive. Deep left field. Deion Sanders looks up at the wall. Grand slam, Blauser. Braves have tied a major league record. And they also lead 4-0.
Well, Our statistician Phil Simmons did it again just as he puts that stuff in there. Boy, the players respond, don't they? Blauser's second slam of the year. Yeah, you can smile, Jeff. That's all right.
That's 8 for the team, right? Here's Danny Bautista. He swings and foul tips it into the glove of Oliver. It's 0-1. Yeah, 8 home runs. 8 Grand Slam home runs, I mean. A ball and a strike.
Here's the pitch again. Breaking ball coming right into him, too. Had the height, just a matter of it had the distance.
All this with 2 out, nobody on that little infield singer to get things started. A 2-1. Swung and missed. He threw his fastball that time. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, John Smoltz has some runs to work with tonight. He leads 4-0. Well, what a year for Blauser.
Yeah, it's incredible.
13 homers, 52 RBI. Bautista strikes out and the inning is over, but not before. The Braves plate 4 runs on 2 hits. No errors, nobody left. Bottom of the second. 4-0 Atlanta.
Fans, this telecast is authorized under broadcasting rights granted by the Atlanta National League Baseball Club and is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, retransmission of the pictures or descriptions of this game without the express written consent of the Atlanta National League Baseball Club is prohibited.
And Willie Green leads off the second. He makes his home now in Haddock, Georgia. He's out of Milledgeville. And he's having a pretty good year, 262 with 15 homers. Smoltz with a 4-run lead. Good breaking ball. He tried to stop his swing, could not. 0-1. 9 grand slams for the Braves, ties the National League record. The Cubs in 29, San Diego in 95, Montreal in 96, and we got a long way to go. Ground ball. McGriff on his way to the bag, fields it, wins the race, 1 down. 4 in a row knocked over by John Smoltz. And Joe Oliver, the batter.
There's only a couple of guys in their lineup that have really given John Smoltz much trouble over the years. One is Joe Oliver, 7 for 24 with a homer. Hal Morris, a .296 career hitter as well.
Oliver at .286 on the year. He had the line of the year in the paper here yesterday. The one by Smoltz in the pitch, a strike at the knees, 0-1. He used to be represented by Scott Boras. I have no bone to pick with Boras. I never met him in my life. But first the 0-1 pitch. Outside, it's 1-1. For 3 years in a row, I think it was, Oliver, when spring training started, didn't have a contract. So he changed agents, and he said, somebody said, well, why did it take you so long if you kept having those problems? The 1-1 pitch. Outside, 2 balls and a strike. He said, well, he said, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. He said, suddenly I realized he was getting all the benefit and I was getting all the doubt. 2 balls, 1 strike. John Nunnally, the former Kansas City performer, is on deck. Oliver had a good swing at that, fouled it off. It's 2-2.
He's battled a series of injuries. First with his foot. This year at the beginning of the year with his thumb. Had torn the ligaments in the thumb. So he got off to a slow start, but 286 with 8 homers, not too bad considering missed most of April.
The 2-2. Full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
They got some new turf at this ballpark this year, and it looks nice. The old surface getting worn and hard.
High pop foul back into the upper deck. Still 3-2. Thanks, Audrey. The payoff pitch. Here it is again. Pop foul back again into the upper deck.
You come into this ballpark and they've got some signs up, and there's a definite line of demarcation where the floodwaters came up into this stadium, but they had it sealed off. None of the water got into the playing field.
Another one.
I believe that was back in January, but it's about, well, it's over my head, and I'm close to 6'4". But they've got some floodgates, I guess they call them, that they seal off the interior of the stadium and kept all the water out.
Popped him up. Let's see if that stays in play. McGriff gives it a look, but no chance. That's 4 or 5 of them he's spoiled on 3 and 2. It's a hot night here. The heat could be a factor as the game progresses. John's next 3-2 offering. He finally walked it. Good at bat for Oliver. He worked hard to draw that walk. He's at first with 1 out, and John Nunnally will be the batter. Nunnally, out of Pelham, North Carolina, lives now in Keeling, Virginia. He's out of Miami-Dade South Community College. Up and down with Kansas City the last couple of years. Last year at Omaha, he had 25 homers, and then 5 more at Kansas City. And a total of 94 RBIs, so he had a pretty good year. Runner at first, 1 out. McGriff plays behind him, and the pitch is high. 1 ball, no strikes.
Went to a famous military school too, didn't he? Yeah, Hargrave Military Academy in Chatham, Virginia.
Never heard of it.
It's like that's a military academy, obviously, but prep school as well.
2-0. Smoltz falls behind. The 2 ball, no strike. Pitch is on the way, and it's low, and it's 3-0. Don't let him back in here, John.
Nunnally playing center field for the Reds, and that's where he played most of the time in the minor leagues for Kansas City. When he would get to the big leagues, he was usually used in right field, but back in a more comfortable area for him out in center.
3-0 the count. They walked him. 2 walks in a row for Smoltz with a 4-run lead. That's not good news. As we mentioned, Sunday afternoon, these same 2 teams will have it on TBS at 2:10. Greg Maddux against Dave Burba. Back here, Hal Morris is the batter with 2 on and 1 out. Morris at 277, 16 out of 54 against Smoltz, a home run included. There's the strike, a fastball over the outside corner. Morris, a good contact hitter. He sort of dances the light fantastic in that batter's box. His feet are moving. He does not possess great running speed. If you can coax a ground ball, you got a chance to turn it over.
And he doesn't like to walk that much either. If it's close, he'll hack.
Into the dirt. It's 1-1. Look at him dance around. It's amazing he can hit as well as he can.
He wades right into the pitches too. He looks like, or he gives you the impression that the way he comes into the plate and to the pitcher, that you could jam him, but he's got a quick bat. If you jam him, you've got to come upstairs.
He looks like hot shot, double play. Out there. Out there. You can't hit the ball any harder, but right at him. And a 4-6-3 is the result. I started to say it looked like he's auditioning for a chorus line. No hits, no runs, no errors. 1 left at the end of 2. 4-0 Atlanta. We go to the 3rd inning here. 4-0 the score. Atlanta on top. New hairstyle being developed by Jeff Porter for John Smoltz.
He's trying to make it look like his.
It is hot down there. I guess they got the ammonia on that towel or something.
And it is refreshing when they do that. What's halo? Roy, what's halo? some of the giveaway products that they have here at the ballpark for some of their promotions. Okay.
Chipper Jones leads off the third inning. Strike called. I wonder if they make all the Elvis paraphernalia that Marty Brenneman has in his booth.
Yeah,
Joe Nuxall.
They've got a great home record since Elvis returned to the booth.
1-1 the count. There's the likeness.
Since Elvis came back into the radio booth, the Reds are 18-12 here at home.
Look at the hairstyles, how similar they are. 2 balls and a strike.
I think Elvis has got less Brill cream.
Yeah, that could be. Ground ball to short. Reese has it. Hop, skip, and throw. 1 out.
And the ball club came in on Wednesday night from Chicago, got on the bus, and the Reds and the Marlins were hooked up. They'd already started playing here in Cincinnati, but they had the radio broadcast on in the bus, and we don't get a chance to hear the guys very often, and it was really good to hear Marty and Joe. They're outstanding.
Terrific. He knows what we're doing to him, too. He doesn't know exactly what, but he knows something's going on. The pitch. A little bit inside to Fred. 1 ball, no strike. No, they're terrific announcers. Marty does a lot of basketball in the winter months. NCAA tournament games. Off his foot. 1-1 the count. In the 4th, Oakland leads Cleveland 1-0 tonight. A final. Anaheim beat Boston 5-4. In the 3rd, in the first game of a doubleheader, 4-3 Anaheim in the 3rd and the 2nd. Milwaukee 4-0 over Detroit in the 4th. Kansas City 1-0 over Toronto in the 3rd. Low and outside. Seattle and the Yankees scoreless. Bottom of the 2nd in New York.
If talk is anything, and the discussion and the whirlwind thoughts about what might happen before the 31st of this month.
Strike call to McGriff.
I was talking to some players yesterday. They feel like this may be one of those times where a pennant could be bought by ball clubs who were trying to make a last-ditch effort to solidify their ball clubs.
We better get going. We're 7 and 8 since the break. A lot of injuries, but foul tipped at home plate. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Braves are now 5.5 ahead of Florida, 5.5 ahead of the Mets, who are just percentage points behind Florida, and they've closed the gap because of some ugly numbers, particularly in the error column. 19 errors in those 15 games.
Fred stays alive again. Count stays 2-2.
This Reds ball club, the top defensive team in the league. They've made 56 errors. The Braves have made 79.
Fred singles to center. Almost gets himself a Charlie Rutherford in the process. The second base umpire. Runner at first, 1 out. And Andrew Jones, a strikeout victim his first time, is the batter.
It looked like a fastball. Fred had hit it off the end of the bat a little bit, but in a nice place.
He just missed a home run, by the way. McGriff, his first time up, a long blast into the second deck, was foul. Fred edges away. He's not going anywhere. Pitch is inside. 1 ball, no strikes. 4-0 Atlanta. Jeff Blauser, a grand slam. 9th of the year for the Braves, tying the National League record. Double play ball, maybe. 5, 4, 3. And the inning is over. Nothing doing in the 3rd for Atlanta. We go to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Braves on top, 4-0.
Time to take a look at the Office Depot scoreboard before we get to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Just underway in St. Louis. No score there. Montreal failed to score in the 1st at Houston. All the rest of the scores in the National League later. Anaheim beat Boston in the 1st of 2. In the 2nd game, that young man Brian Rose started for Boston. He's still in there, but Anaheim leads 4-3. Oakland leading 1-0 over Cleveland in the 4th inning. Milwaukee got 3 in the 4th inning to take their lead. Seattle and New York, no score. Kansas City 1-0 over Toronto. Texas just underway at Chicago. Robin Ventura has homered for Chicago. They lead 1-0.
Brett Boone, the batter, and the count is 0-1 to him. Now it's 1-1. He is 1 for 15 against Smoltzie. He's hitting just .216.
But he has picked it up.
Yeah, he was 199 at the break.
Yep.
Spent a little time in the minor leagues. They say he tries to hit everything out of the ballpark, which is not a good thing.
And they say he is stubborn and will not make adjustments. It'll be interesting to see if Jack McKeon's able to talk to him a little bit, make him realize that to stay in this game, he's got to make some concessions at some point.
No swing, and it's 2-2. He's hitting .349 in the second half of the year. 15 out of 43.
Long stride, too.
Here's the Boo Birds here. Strikeout number 3 for Smoltz.
One thing he is an outstanding defensive player. He has made only 1 error at second base this year.
You know what's funny about that? I remember when Seattle dealt him, they said they didn't think he had enough range to be a major league second baseman. Nothing could be further from the truth. Pete Schurik has a homer this year, 2 RBIs. He's hitting .200.
How about all that hubbub in Seattle about Ken Griffey Jr. jumping on their front office?
Right out Lemke. 2 are out here. Well, in a way, I see his point. It's a bad time to play an exhibition game, but by the same token, at these prices, why not just say it to the people in person rather than using the radio and TV and newspaper?
He could have been more tactful in the way he put it. I thought it was pretty harsh, but I didn't disagree with him. For a ball club that's trying to win a division championship and to start a 12-day road trip by traveling from Seattle to North Carolina, driving an hour and a half after they land to a city to play, and then going to Cleveland. They didn't get to Cleveland until 4 a.m. the morning before they played their first game against the Indians.
Dion takes outside, 1 ball, no strikes. One of the things that concerned everybody about Brett Boone was that when he came over here in '94, he hit .320. In '95, he hit .267. Last year, he hit .233. What you look for is improvement, and he's going just the other way.
Does it have their second half numbers in there?
No, just
because his second half last year was where he really tailed off, and he started the first half this year obviously in the same way, and that's what really bothered him.
There's a strike to Dion. He didn't think so. 2 balls and a strike. He was a strikeout victim his first time. Boy, he is spread out in that batter's box much more than he was when he was with us. He hits that ball well to center, but Andrew Jones goes back and puts it away, and the inning is over. 1-2-3, nothing doing. The end of 3. Braves on top 4-0. Okay, time for our Aflac trivia question. Who was the only player from '66 through '89 to reach the 50 home run mark in a season? We'll have the answer for you in a half inning. Here with the play-by-play story, Joe Simpson.
And Javi Lopez will be the batter leading off the 4th for the Braves. He lined to right his first time up. You know, that's pretty amazing too, that 33-year period in there, or 23-year period, where you think coming off those big home run seasons of the American League players like Maris and Mantle, Rocky Colavito, Pokey Reese throws out Javi Lopez, 1 down.
Shall we give him a hint?
Sure.
He played here in Cincinnati.
Brian Klesko got the rally started with 2 outs that led to a grand slam by Blauser. He just rolled a little 30-footer down the first base line. Then Lemke walked, Smoltz walked, and Blauser hit 1 out. 1-1.
Another hint, he was either the first or one of the first players to have a limousine pick him up and deliver him to the ballpark and back.
One and two. He didn't start his career here, and he didn't end it here either.
That's right.
Curve, another curve outside. He has struck out 2, but the 2 walks in the second inning really hurt him. Klesko was 2 for 11 in Chicago. Big swing and fouled it back. Mark Lemke to follow. 1 out. We're in the 4th. Ryan 2 for 6 lifetime against Shurik now. Full count. And I think right now that's Pete's best fastball right there. You just saw it. He missed inside with it. Look out. Breaking ball got away from him, and that's walk number 3. Lemke walked and scored on the grand slam. Looking at his numbers, right-handed. Mark hitting .298 and 57 at bats. 4 of his 14 doubles are right-handed. 1 of his 2 homers. Bounces one off the plate. Shurik looks at second, but his only play was to first, and that was a wise move. He gets the second out of the inning, but a runner in scoring position for John Smoltz, who also walked in the second.
Here's another look at it. Relatively easy play for Shurik. He took a look, and then with a pitcher hitting, you got to take the sure out.
Smoltz is average now at .327. He has 3 doubles, 3 RBIs. Fastball caught the corner. John's lifetime record against the Reds 12 and 10. He's 5 and 5 here in this ballpark. 1-1 to count.
By the way, Joe, Connie Schultz, our PR man, Jim Schultz's wife, just had another birthday 2 days ago and tried to sneak it by us, but we found out.
Well, good try anyway. Off speed pitch misses. 2-1.
Happy birthday, Connie.
2-1 pitch. Out of play. 2-2.
What a thrill it must be to have a birthday on the same day as coordinating producer of Braves baseball, Glenn Diamond.
It's a special day.
Yes, it is.
That's Klesko at second with 2 out. Braves lead 4-0. Up the middle. A good play by Reese. Keeps him from leading 5-0 with an outstanding show of range going behind the bag. A runner left in scoring position. We go to the bottom of the 4th. 4-0 Atlanta.
Once again, our Aflac trivia question: the only player from 66 through 89 to reach the 50 home run mark in a season? George Foster here with Cincinnati, 52 in 1977. Cecil Fielder broke the slump with 51 in 1990, and in 65 Willie Mays had 52 at the other end of that drought. So there's your Aflac trivia question and answer. Joe?
And we go to the bottom of the 4th. Skip with the Reds sending up Pokey Reese, Reggie Sanders, and Willie Green. John Smoltz fanned the first 2 batters he faced tonight, including Reese. Also struck out Brett Boone. He has 3 on the night. and a couple of walks, but so far no hits allowed. We ask about Barry Larkin and when the Reds expect to have him back in the lineup, and it looks like it might be another 10 days to 2 weeks. Apparently he had a little setback on his workouts to try to get ready while the Reds were in New York recently. Two and 0 to Reese, and Smoltz takes a little time to start the inning over. Out of play.
It always cracks me up when general managers say it's not the manager's fault that we're not winning, but we're going to fire him. Well, whose fault is it? Why don't you fire the guy whose fault it is? Wouldn't that make it a lot easier? Maybe that guy's a little too close to home.
Kent Merker said something to me that was, I think, a little wake-up call for all of us, and that is, he said, you know, you get so used to winning in Atlanta, you take it for granted, and boy, a year like this makes you realize how wonderful it is.
And we all do. We all fight it, but we all do take it for granted, including, I think, the fans.
Broken bat grounder to short. Blauser makes a nice play and throws him out. One out in the fourth, and the batter will be Reggie Sanders.
And let's face it, someday, I hope it's not in the near future, but someday the baseball gods are going to frown on us again, and there'll be some bad trades or some signings that don't pan out, and the Braves will take a dip. And then we'll begin to all realize, those of us who are still around, how good we had it in the 90s.
Well, let's face it, Glavine and Smoltz and Maddox and Nagel can't pitch forever. You just hope that the next cycle brings somebody that's somewhere close to that group.
It's hard to even imagine getting a group like that together again.
Sanders popped to center his first time up. That's another thing. We talk about Maddox and his talk about baseball when he's in the dugout with his cohorts, but there he is talking to the hitting coach, trying to find an edge. 0-2. Maddox will pitch Sunday against Dave Burba, and we'll have it for you here on the Superstation, and that'll be his catcher, Eddie Perez.
And that's just, they're talking business right now.
The 0-2 fouled back above us. Just out of curiosity, with Sanders up there, I wonder what he's hitting against Maddox. He's 8 for 28 lifetime against Greg. So he's had a little luck.
286.
No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Reggie Sanders has always struck out a lot. This year, 34 strikeouts and 117 at bats. 35 strikeouts and 118 at bats, and that's a pretty wicked curveball. 4 strikeouts for John.
Yeah, he snapped this baby off in good order. Well, really, it stayed on the inside part of the plate, but he froze him nonetheless.
Yeah. Willie Green, the cleanup batter, grounded to McGriff his first time up. 15 homers, 47 RBIs. Only Brett Boone has struck out more times than Willie Green on this ball club. Boone has fanned 63 times, and Willie Green 57.
Speaking of Boones, Jack McKeon was announced as the interim manager through this year. I wonder if Bob Boone would be among those under consideration.
I would think Bob Boone, if he wants to manage again, will get another opportunity. I thought he was doing a pretty good job. That was, I think, more of a shocker certainly than this one. Fanned him with a fastball, a high, hard one. John cut that one loose, and he's fanned 5 on the night. We've played 4, and the Braves lead 4-0. To the top of the order, and the guy who gave the Braves their 4-0 lead, Jeff Blauser, who hit a grand slam with 2 out in the 2nd inning, steps in and takes ball 1 from Pete Schurik. His 13th homer, his 4 RBIs give him 52 on the year. His 2nd grand slam of the year. Chipper Jones, who will hit this inning, has hit 3. Blauser, Bautista, and Chipper Jones. 2-1. Good strike with a fastball. 2-2. Jeff Blauser came in hitting .339, but 23 runs scored in his 32 games as a leadoff batter. That's good production. Full count. Kind of one of those things that we were talking about, I think, in Chicago, about how you don't have to be a big base stealer to be a good leadoff man. If you're getting on base, score runs. That's the key. Payoff pitch is popped up and playable for Willie Green. He makes the catch.
Don't mean to interrupt, Joe, but stay with TBS after the game as Whoopi Goldberg stars in Jumpin' Jack Flash on Dinner and a Movie. Tonight, Paul and Annabelle will be preparing Whoopi's B-flat flatbread. That's coming up next here on the Superstation. So keep looking for that.
You ever had any of that?
No, I haven't.
I don't believe I have either, but it's very good. Danny Bautista fouls one back. He's 0 for 2. He's popped up and struck out. He had a good series in Chicago, 3 for 7 with 2 homers.
And again, I've never walked across the Grand Canyon on a wire either.
Well, whatever you do. 0-2 to Danny with Chipper Jones on deck.
Looking down the lineup card, really Blauser's home run is the only ball that's been hit viciously hard in this game.
Struck him out upstairs. 3 strikeouts for Schurik. You're right. Chipper Jones doubled down in the right field corner. Ground rule double in the 1st inning, but he hit that off the end of the bat a little bit. Fred McGriff had a single in the 3rd. That too was soft line drive. More fastballs this inning from Schurik. Chipper's double was his 25th of the year. 1-1. Blauser leads in that category with 26. Just below us, 1-2. You know, that shot of Bobby reminded me that tonight was another one of those nights where he didn't know what kind of lineup he was going to put on the field.
Yeah, he had to wait till batting practice. Again, he had, I think, 3 space. He had Blauser in there, he had Smoltz in there, and I think he had Javi in there. No, nobody else was he sure.
Low, 2-2. I don't think they would. I would guess that they wouldn't try to activate Lofton with this turf here. Popped up again. Oliver comes out. He calls for it and has it. And the Braves go in order. But I was about to say that maybe we'll see Lofton when we go home, when the Braves return home to take on the Cubs. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Pete Van Wieren and Don Sutton coming your way. It's still 4-0 Braves.
Bottom of the 5th inning. It's basically been a 1/2 inning ball game. Jeff Blauser with a grand slam, and John Smoltz has been on top of things. Pete and Don with you the rest of the way, and this is a more aggressive John Smoltz that we seem to be watching.
Yeah,
tonight.
a little bit so. I think he's determined to prove that he can come back and pitch the rest of this season the way he did last year and rebound from what's been a so-so start for him this year.
Oliver, first time up, drew a walk. That's the only shaky inning Smoltz has had back in the 2nd when he walked Oliver. And he walked Nunley. He starts Oliver with a breaking ball for a ball. 1-0. 4 runs on 4 hits for the Braves. Jeff Blauser, grand slam homer. 9th of the year for the Braves, tying a National League record. Ground ball to short. There is Blauser. Nice easy one with the catcher running. There is out number 1. Activity in the Reds bullpen.
Brett Tomko, who's been a starter and reliever since coming up from the minor leagues, which could be an indication of one direction Jack McKeon is going to go. They've been going with a 6-man starting core more or less under Ray Knight. Looks like Tomko is going to be relegated, at least for the time being, to the bullpen.
That's one of the things you and I were talking about a little bit earlier over there as John Nunnally stands in. He drew a walk first time up. A couple of issues for Jack McKeon to deal with. 6-man rotation. Another one too is what about Mike Morgan? I mean, Mike was kind of like out of a leper colony here. He was persona non grata. That's up the chimney and foul. Yeah, watch it get into the stands. That'll make it 1-1 to Nunnally. We'll see what happens to Mike Morgan here. He was not one of the favorite people. Ray Knight.
Well, they've got him penciled in as the starter Tuesday night against the Florida Marlins, so it looks like he stays in the rotation.
I think he's
right now. It's Shurik, and then Merker, and then Burba, and then Smiley, and then Morgan, and then back to Shurik again. So it's back to a 5-man with Tomko, the odd man out right now. Although many of his starts came in Shurik's absence.
Mike Morgan is sitting there with a baseball in his hands. Think he ever played on the same team with Greg Maddux? Remember Maddux? You always see him with a baseball or a rule book, trying to figure another way to get people out. 3-1 to Nunnally. Nunnally came over from Kansas City in a deal that sent Tony Muser, their new manager over there, a couple of guys for his bullpen. Obviously a glaring need that Kansas City had, and it was filled for the new manager. 3 balls and 1 strike.
Not only did Morgan play on the same team as Maddux, he went to the same high school as Greg. Maybe they learned it back there.
Yeah, a little influence. There's ball 4. Second time Nunnally has walked. The 3rd walk issued by John Smoltz. Smoltz came into this ball game in the top 5 in the National League. Only a couple of walks per 9 innings. That's his 3rd. And he'll face Hal Morris, who did him a favor back in the 2nd inning. He smoked the ball, but he hit a nice 2-hopper to Mark Lemke, and Lemke turned it into a 4-6-3 double play.
Been the hardest hit ball off John all night.
He's one of our favorite hitters in the National League, because he's the guy who looked like he's hitting in an ant bed. I mean, you watch his feet. He's got happy feet. I know there's a Texas 2-step. Is there a 3-step dance anywhere?
I'm sure there is.
If there is.
He's got the right shoes to dance, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He plants that left foot, and then he moves it, and then he moves his right, and then he moves his left again.
Those look like ski boots.
Grandma Spats. Watch the happy feet. Go to first instead. Nunnally is back. Nunnally credited with only 1 steal since he joined the Reds, but the report is that he has good speed. So he's already starting those happy feet. It's a strike, 1-1. Still got to figure out if his hitting instructor was Arthur Murray or Fred Astaire. Or maybe the hitting instructor formerly known as Prince. Two and 1.
And a look now at the Hardy leaderboard. National League team stolen bases. There's one category the Reds have not slacked this year. 133 right at the top of the list. St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Colorado, and Houston follow. In case you're wondering where the Braves rank, the Braves have 79 steals this year.
1/3 of those or so belong to that man you saw right there, Deion Sanders, who's also posing an interesting question for Jack McKeon. 2 and 2. What were you saying about his contract, Pete? It's
got a clause in his contract where he is able to leave the Reds and return to football whenever they get mathematically eliminated from the race. He doesn't have to do that. He can stay with the Reds all season or leave, whichever he prefers at that point in the season. It doesn't look like it's going to happen that soon for the Reds because nobody's really running away right now with the Central Division. But will he stay or will he go?
It's a 2-2 to Morris. Line drive, base hit. First hit of the night. John Smoltz. He cha-cha'd right into a liner to center. So they're at first and second. Still only one out for Brett Boone.
Hit the ball hard his first time up. Got that one right down the middle of the plate. And the first hit of the game off Smoltz comes off the bat of the guy who hit the ball the hardest off him the first time around the order.
Boone struck out swinging his first time up. Chased one almost all the way into the left-handed batter's box. Boone had planned on spending and did spend All-Star break in Kansas City, where his father was at the start of All-Star break manager. High fly ball, deep right center. Could it be? Is it? It is out of here. An opposite field 3-run homer for Brett Boone. That's home run number 4. It's RBIs 31, 32, and 33 for the 8th place hitter, and all of a sudden we got a 1-run ball game.
Well, Brett Boone has been a much better hitter since the All-Star break. 16 for 45 now since the break, hitting over 350. This is his 4th homer of the year, and it gives him 33 RBIs on the season.
There's Pete Schurik. He takes a strike.
And as big a blow as that Brett Boone home run is getting the Reds back into the game, give some credit to Pete Schurik, too, who settled down and shut out the Braves for 3 innings after giving up that grand slam until his team was able to come up with some runs off Smoltz.
That's out of play, 0-2. I talked to Bob Boone the Wednesday of All-Star break, and we had talked about his firing, and Brett was down there, and he had him every day, and they were working on his stroke. And the last thing he told me before we broke off the conversation was he's back. He said he's straightened out. He has straightened out, and the rest of the National League pitchers kind of wish Bob Boone had minded his own business. Boone way up over 340 since All-Star break. Did he go? Nope, 2-2. So whatever it was, that father and son hitting session worked out things in Kansas City. You get that ball a long way to right center field. That's a pretty good poke to get it out over there. There goes Schurik, and for Smoltz, he has his 6th strikeout, but Brett Boone sent this one to right center field. 3 runs on 2 hits, nobody left through 5. I'm sorry, only 2 outs. My fault. So Schurik strikes out for number 6. And here's Deion Sanders. That's a 13th home run allowed by John Smoltz in his last 14 starts. Sanders fouls the first one away. How many home runs did he give up all last year? The total was not a very big one last year.
Let me look that up for you.
John now with 15 for the year. Sanders
He gave up 19 last year.
So he still probably has 10 or 11 more starts, and he's only 4 shy of that. Sanders has struck out and flied out, hitless in 2 trips. He is bunting. Tough play for Smoltz, but he makes it. That is the 3rd out of the inning. And it comes after the Reds put a 3 spot on the board. 1 swing of that man's bat. An opposite field home run for Brett Boone as we head to the 6th. It looked like this leaving town. It's 4-3 Braves.
And as we go to the 6th inning, a look at today's Budweiser game summary. It's basically been 2 swings of the bat. The grand slam by Jeff Blauser, a 3-run homer by Brett Boone. Braves have tied a National League record. They're 2 off the Major League mark of 11 set by the Angels and the Mariners last year. And a lot of season to go yet to shoot for that all-time mark, Don.
Fred McGriff will lead it off. McGriff got the last base hit allowed by Schurik, a single in the 3rd inning. Since then, he's only allowed 1 walk. That'll go foul. No balls and 1 strike. 4 runs, 4 hits for the Braves. 3 runs on 2 hits for the Reds. A 1-run ball game. McGriff 1 out of 2. He continues a pretty good streak against Schurik. Now 13 out of 34. But then again, if you followed McGriff at all, no surprise to see him hitting fairly well against lefties. Defensive chance for Boone. He does that about as well as any second baseman in the league. Out number 1. He has to be at the top or near the top, if not at the top, fielding for second baseman in the league.
He's only made 1 error all year.
That's pretty impressive. Matthew, Aaron, and Brett. All 3 of Bob and Sue Boone's sons playing professionally. And I guess Matthew, or was it Aaron, and Brett got to play together for a little while here. Here's Andrew Jones. He has struck out and grounded into a third, second, first double play. 1-1. High and deep to right field. This one may go. And go it does. An opposite field home run for Andrew Jones. He answers for one of them. For Jones, his 11th homer. He has 44 RBIs. His first ever hit against Pete Shorrock. That ball jumped to right center. And the lead is 2.
Well, one of the last quotes that Ray Knight made to the media here before leaving his job as manager of the Cincinnati Reds was made after the last ball game played by the Reds here last night. He said that the ball in this ballpark of late has really been jumping, and we've seen it tonight off the bat of Boo and off the bat now of Andrew Jones.
And jumping up the middle too as Javi Lopez smashes one right over the mound into center field. He jumped on a low pitch. He is now 1 out of 3.
Haven't seen this too much from Andrew. We've seen most of his home runs go right to dead left field, but he's got power to all fields, and he's going to get a little better at this the older he gets and the more experience he gets.
Do you agree that he has, as Ryan Klesko stands in, really grown leaps and bounds in his knowledge of the strike zone this year?
Absolutely. You see him take pitches now that he was chasing and trying to pull early on in the year.
Klesko 1 for 1 and also add a walk to that. He scored one, doesn't get the first one. 0-1.
I thought Bobby Cox paid Andrew a very, very, very high compliment the other day when he said he reminds me of Al Kaline when he first came into the American League at age 18. Andrew just 20 years old. He said, but both of them proved they could play at this level right away, despite their young age.
Strike 2 to Klesko, and both of them, and I remember watching Al Kaline too as a youngster when on TV. Both of them carry themselves with a glide.
And will they make some mistakes at this age? Of course they will. But the mistakes will get to be fewer and fewer the longer they're up here.
0-2 to Ryan Klesko. 1 out, top of the 6th. Inside, 1-2. Klesko 2 out of 6 in his career against the Reds lefty. That's out of play. Still 1-2. Shorrock has been a guy that has shown touches of brilliance from time to time, but I guess, Pete, the one thing that may have kept him from being as good as everybody thought he could, he just can't stay away from that injury bug, can he?
Now, he's been hurt right from the beginning of his career. He missed the whole year, just the second year he was in professional baseball, and he had to have elbow surgery.
Got enough left to run it by Klesko, picking up his 4th strikeout, 2nd out in the 6th inning.
And it's not that he has spent months and months and months on the disabled list since then, but it seems like every season, with the exception of that 1 year, 2 years ago when he won 18 games for the Reds and was healthy all season, if he hasn't been on the disabled list, he's at least a couple of times a season had to miss a start or miss a couple of starts because of some minor problem.
Lemke has walked and scored and grounded to the pitcher. Sends this one to right field, headed for the corner, but also headed for the corner is Reggie Sanders. He makes the catch and makes a friend. But the Braves get one. An opposite field home run for Andrew Jones. Javi Lopez left stranding. As the Reds come to bat, bottom of the 6th inning, they're down 5-3.
Braves leading it now 5-3 as we go to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Let's take a look at what's on deck for the Braves. 2 more games in this series. It'll be Tom Glavine against Kent Mercker tomorrow. That game on Fox. Then on Sunday afternoon, we're back with you. Greg Maddux against Dave Burba And the first 2 games of the Cubs series on TBS. Wednesday night will be on Sports South. Denny Nagel works the opening game against the Cubs on Monday night. Kevin Millwood will go on Tuesday, and then it's back to John Smoltz on Wednesday.
Here we're in the bottom of the 6th. 5 runs on 6 hits for the Braves. 3-2-0 for the Reds as they send up Pokey Reese, Reggie Sanders, and Willie Green. Smoltz starts in with a breaking ball for a strike. 0-1. I want to send along birthday wishes to one of my favorite people in the whole world, Jay Wyndham down in Pensacola, celebrating a birthday today. Spending the summer trying to decide, that's back our way, 0-2, as he heads off to junior college in Alabama, whether he wants to be a shooting guard or a playmaker. So happy birthday, Jay. I think he'll be a shooter, though. Reese hitless in 2 trips. He struck out and he's grounded to short. In the dirt, 1-2. So realignment, the topic of conversation in the USA Today, which is when you usually get your USA Today.
That's been a hot topic, and it looks like baseball is definitely going to make some realignment for next season. Whether it's going to be the radical one that's apparently gaining some ground now with the owners or not remains to be seen.
Strikeout number 7 for Smoltz. A good start for the 6th inning, and he'll bring up Reggie Sanders. Yeah.
Well, the one that's being pushed now is strictly a geographical realignment. The Braves have moved to the American League, but they would be in a division with all teams along the East Coast. They'd be in the same division with Cleveland and Cincinnati, Detroit, Florida, Pittsburgh, and Tampa Bay, with Baltimore, Boston, Montreal, the Mets, Yankees, Phillies, and Blue Jays being in the other division in the American League. And then all the rest of the teams would be in the National League, geographically aligned, all the West Coast teams together in one division.
Swing and a miss by Sanders, 0-1. Makes geographic sense to me, and I think it would recreate and intensify some great rivalries. Just for
and I don't think there'd be so much ballyhoo about it from the fans who object because of the way interleague play's gone over this year. We've already seen the response that fans have had to some different matchups, a little bit of a change. Attendance about 30% higher for those interleague games than it has been for the rest of the games this year, and I think that fans would adapt to it very well. It didn't take the fans long to adapt to the Braves moving from the National League West to the National League East. And basically what you're looking at is about 22 teams moving from one division to another. So why not? Why not get it all done now instead of doing it piecemeal?
Did he go?
Well, they say not, but we've seen that rung up before.
Got a 50-50 chance of getting that call. 2-1. In the air and out of play, 2-2. But let's face it, there has been change coming for a while. The designated hitter, when they went to divisional play, another level of it. About the only tradition that is going to be remain is that the catcher will stay in foul territory and there'll be 90 feet between the bases. All the other changes, there are going to be other changes. But I like the realignment plan that I read in today's paper. Full count. 3-2.
And apparently baseball is doing a lot of polling of fans in ballparks and around different major league cities to get their ideas as to whether they like it or don't like it. There have been some other changes proposed that would not be quite as radical as that, where maybe 1 or 2 teams might move to a different league or change division. So it's going to be either that or somewhere in between. But if they're going to do it, I just as soon see them do it all at once and get it done with.
This is deep to right field, but I think it's going to stay in here for Batista. Shy of the warning track, out number 2.
And they're still wrestling with scheduling, how they would handle the scheduling. And they would apparently, you would play everybody in your own league and then one of the other divisions in the other league each year. And they're still wrestling with how they would go about qualifying teams for postseason play. Obviously, division winners would go, but then who do you take? Second place teams or the 4 teams with the best record or what? But when they get that all in place, if they vote it in, I don't think it's going to take all that long for the fans to adjust to it.
Well, I would miss the restaurants in Chicago and San Francisco.
You'll still get to go, but not as often.
Well,
okay.
That'll probably save my...
And you get some new places to go and some new restaurants to try.
That'll save my Visa and MasterCard. Fly ball to left field. Long run for Klesko. He's at the warning track, and he's got it. Well, the Reds hit a couple on the button, but come up shy, and it ends up being a 1-2-3 inning for John Smoltz. We have completed 6 innings. Got ourselves a good one going. 5-3 the score. Braves lead it. Top of the 7th inning, Braves up by 2, Pete, and I think they're going to go to their bullpen.
They are. The pitcher will be right-hander Brett Tomko, who has had a good year. He was in the starting rotation when Pete Shurek was on the disabled list. His record 5-3, a .367 earned run average, only made 1 relief appearance. And everybody around here guessing that the move to the bullpen is just temporary for Tomko. He made his first relief appearance last Saturday against the Mets. As a starting pitcher, he was 5-2, and it's almost a given that the Cincinnati Reds are trying to trade one of their 3 veteran starting pitchers, either Dave Burba or Pete Shurek or John Smiley, to one of the many teams in baseball looking for pitching right now. When they do that, the Tomko will move right back into the starting rotation. But for now, he's in the bullpen. 49 innings, 40 hits, 19 walks, 35 strikeouts.
We go into cities, we find a lot of hotels sold out. You used to think it was because of a convention, but I think it's because of all the scouts that are in watching the pitching around here.
Almost hit by that pitch was Smoltz. The count 2-1. John has walked and grounded out. Tomko started the year in AAA, and he went 6-3 there with a .295 ERA. So he's had a good overall year. Combined total of 11 wins, only 5 losses. Nice play, Hal Morris. There's Tomko to cover. 1 gone in the 7th.
Hal Morris can play some first base. He is one of those guys who's a singles hitter, hits 300, but gets lost in the shuffle with so many other first basemen who are similar. But he can pick it. That was a tricky hop. Watch this. Runs toward the bag. He gives Tomko the ball in plenty of time for the pitcher to find the bag, get out of the way of Smoltz, and get all the way over into foul territory. That's the way it's done.
Now Jeff Blauser, a grand slam home run for Jeff back in the 2nd. He's also grounded out and fouled out. Tomko in just his 3rd year of professional baseball. He was the 2nd round pick of the Reds in the '95 June draft out of Florida Southern College. So it has not taken him long to get to the big leagues. He started out Class A ball, went 4-2 in '95. Last year at Chattanooga, 11-7. This year AAA, he was 6-2, and here he is, just basically 2 years after being drafted.
In 1987, he was a freshman in high school at El Dorado High School down in Orange County. What were the chances that he thought he would be playing with a guy who was one of the stars on his team that year, a senior named Brett Boone, in the big leagues?
Here's the 1-1 inside, 2-1. And that is really a rarity.
But here they are.
2-1 pitch to Blauser is popped foul, back out of play. And the count 2-2. Braves leading at 5-3. Shurek worked 6 innings, allowed 6 hits, 5 runs. They were all earned. He walked 3, and he struck out 4. Basically made 2 mistakes, 2 gopher balls. A home run by Blauser with the bases loaded, and a solo shot by Andrew Jones. That's out of play. Still 2-2. Smoltz has allowed only 2 hits, but one of those was a home run, a 3-run shot off the bat of Brett Boone. Full count now, 3-2 on Blauser.
I'm convinced this ballpark, like Turner Field, like a lot of others, really becomes a hitter's park as the weather warms up.
High in the air, shallow left. Reese there to take it, 2 down. Have you noticed how when you come into this ballpark and Veterans Stadium, and we'll be going to Three Rivers again with the number of games we play at Turner Field in that spacious outfield from left center across to right center, how cozy these ballparks look in the gaps?
And it's 375. It's over 400. But you're right. It looks like
it looks very close.
Outfielders could get claustrophobic out there.
Here's Danny Bautista, who has struck out twice and popped out. 1 ball, no strikes to count. In the air to shallow center. Nunnally likes to play deep out there. Had a pretty long run for it, but it hung up there for him long enough. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Tomko. We go to the bottom half of inning 7, 5-3 Atlanta.
Bottom of the 7th inning, Braves up by 2. Good time for us to take a look at our Pearl Vision best looking play of the week. It actually is a collection of about 78 best looking plays of the week, because that's how many pitches it took for Greg Maddux to take care of the Cubs on Tuesday. Our Pearl Vision best looking collection of plays of the week.
And Greg will be back at it on Sunday against Dave Burba in the final game of this series, which we'll have for you here on the Superstation. Beginning at 2:10 Eastern Time. Joe Oliver, I think he went. He did. The count 0-2. Oliver has walked and grounded out to short. In the air, center field. He reached for that one down in the count. Andrew Jones is there for the catch. One down. And Smoltz settling down again. He's retired the last 6. The batter will be John Nunley, who has walked twice.
There's a breaking ball to Oliver that was a little bit too high for a 2-strike pitch, but the one thing John Smoltz did was keep it off the plate. And Oliver reached all the way across. Couldn't get a whole lot of force behind it. Wasn't able to drive it.
Nunley fouls back the first one. The count is 0-1. One ball, one strike. Jack McKeon's first game back as manager. Named to replace Ray Knight as the manager of the Reds today. Long-time manager in the major and minor leagues. You know, Jack managed in the Braves organization one year. In between Kansas City and Oakland, 1976, Jack was the manager of the Richmond Braves. Here's the 2-1 pitch. 2-2 the count.
I think I remember Jack McKeon. I know he did a good job with the Padres as a manager, but I think I remember him more for the for sale booths he used to set up at winter meetings.
Yeah, he was a Trader Jack was his nickname as general manager of the San Diego Padres.
Did he make that multiplayer
Yes,
deal
he
with
did.
the Cardinals? You knew which one I was talking about, did you?
Oh, he made several of them.
Raleigh Fingers and Terry Kennedy involved in it. Steve Swisher, a whole bunch of guys. About a 9-player trade, I think.
And again, Nunley draws a walk. That's the 3rd time today he's walked. It's the 4th walk overall issued by Smoltz.
About twice as many as he's been averaging. John in the top 10 in the National League, fewest walks per 9 innings, something like 2 coming into this ball game.
More activity in the Cincinnati bullpen as they get down toward the bottom of their batting order. Left-hander Mike Remlinger is throwing, and Hal Morris is the batter. He's hit into a 4-6-3 double play and single. It has been a very interesting sequence of managers the last 5 years here with Cincinnati. Go back to 1993. Tony Perez started the year as manager. Davey Johnson had been hired as a consultant.
Right.
Before the season was over, Davey Johnson was the manager and Tony Perez was out. And then in Davey Johnson's 2nd full year as Cincinnati manager, Marge Schott, who was then active as the owner of the Cincinnati Reds, announced that Ray Knight would become the manager the following year, and that Davey Johnson would take another job in the Reds organization. Well, Davey Johnson took another job, but it was with the Baltimore Orioles. And now Jack McKeon, who's been serving as an advisor, consultant in the front office, replaces Ray Knight. So all of these changes have been internal changes from somebody who's already been in the organization.
So if the Reds hire a new consultant, if I were Jack McKeon, I'd start looking over my shoulder.
You don't see that happen too often inside organizations that many times in a row. Usually somebody will go outside. If they're going to make a change, they'll make a change. They'll go outside and pick somebody totally new and bring in a whole new coaching staff and the whole bit.
But in the mid-season, if there's a change made, usually it is from inside the organization, like Florida did with John Bowles.
1-2 the count now on Morris.
And then John Bowles now back up in the front office, I think, with the Florida Marlins.
1 man out, runner at first. Braves up 5-3. We're in the bottom half of inning 7. foul away, 1-2. One of the things Jack McKeon said at his news conference today was that it was not inconceivable, and it isn't. The Reds are only 9.5 games out for them to get back in the race. I went back today and looked up how many times a managerial change has happened in the mid-season to any ball club. That club has gone on to either win their division or the league before there were divisions. That's only happened 8 times, and not since 1988 when John McNamara was relieved by Joe Morgan, not the infielder, but the longtime Red Sox minor league manager. He took the Red Sox into postseason play.
When was the last time in the National League, Pete?
Oh, let's see. Phillies, 83. Pat Corrales was replaced by Paul Owens in a very controversial move. The Phillies were in second place at the time. And Paul Owens, the general manager, took over, and they went on to win their division that year. Looped foul, third base side. Chipper Jones there for the catch. 2 down. And that'll bring up Brett Boone.
Slider on the fist. Sometimes when you're a happy wanderer, as Morris is, you stride in and you get one right on your knuckles. What you're looking for, and your best bet, is a pitch out away that you can drive to left field and left center field. And Morris might have had the stride there and the approach to hitting that you see a lot of left-handers take because of John Smoltz's forkball.
Now Brett Boone, whose 3-run homer got the Reds back in this one, back in the 5th inning. He's also struck out. First pitch back in the 5th. This is what happened.
Boy, he stepped into that one.
His 4th homer of the year. (2-0). Lenny Harris has grabbed a bat and moved on deck. He'll pinch hit for Tomko if Boone keeps the inning going. (2-0) pitch. Outside corner, 2-1.
Boone, a very aggressive hitter, wraps the bat high over his head, has power to right field and right center, as he's already shown. But normally the pitch he drives out there is the one in the middle, maybe middle in. He doesn't really take that outside corner and drive it to right.
2 balls, 1 strike, 2 outs. Drove that ball to right field. Bautista was playing a very deep right field, had to come in for that ball. And does for round number 3. Another hard hit ball by Boone, but this one for the 3rd out in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Still 5-3 Atlanta.
Let's take a look at our Delta scoreboard. Florida an early lead over St. Louis. Montreal, Jeff Juden against Darryl Kyle. A couple of teammates going against each other. A home run by Sosa has given Chicago an early lead. Philadelphia's at L.A., New York at San Diego, Pittsburgh at San Francisco. Over in the American League, a pair in Boston. Chuck Fenley wins the first. That's 6 in a row for him. They're up by 1 in the second ball game. Oakland is at Cleveland. Good pitching in this one. And the rest of the American League scoreboard has Milwaukee with 4 home runs beating Detroit. Seattle, Griffey has homered. A 6 in the 4th has given them a lead. Kansas City trails Toronto. Texas at
deep to left field off the bat of Chipper Jones. Back goes Sanders, climbs the wall, but can't get to that one. That is the 3rd homer of the night for Atlanta. It's now 6-3. Home run number 16 for Chipper Jones.
This is worth a relook. The rest of the American League scoreboard can hang on for a second. Chipper Jones now picks up his 78th RBI. You see it's his 16th home run. They want to come inside on him. It trails back out over the plate. Chipper lately is being jammed on that pitch, but not that time. Got the hands through, got the extension, and got it out of there.
And now Fred McGriff, who has grounded out to first, singled, and grounded out to second. A grand slam by Blauser, solo shots by Andrew and Chipper. And it's 6-3 Atlanta. High in the air, deep right center field. Nunnally going back to the wall. He climbs the wall, and that ball's gone. Home run derby time, 7-3. Home run number 14 for Fred McGriff.
Oh, yeah, this is a hitter's park. And another one that he tried to get in on a left-handed hitter. And if you're going to go inside, you better get it in there on McGriff and on Chipper Jones. This ball had altitude and longitude. Right down the middle, full extension, deep to right center field. Those are the kind, if you're the hitter, you know they're gone. And if you're the pitcher, I think you know it before the hitter does. I think that's awfully selfish, Fred McGriff. Chipper Jones hasn't even finished running the gauntlet of high fives before McGriff comes in right behind him.
Andrew Jones homered his last time up. Got under that one. And Deion Sanders will have a play. One gone.
Hope you haven't lost interest in the rest of the American League scores, because we will finish that for you. Texas got a home run from Palmer. And they lead Chicago 4-3. Welcome back Robin Ventura. He's off to a good start. Baltimore at Minnesota. Molitor, Palmeiro, and Steinbach have all homered for Minnesota. And it took us a while, but you're up to date on the Delta scoreboard.
Now Javi Lopez is 1 for 3. Breaking ball strike, 0-1.
If he throws him that pitch again, Javi Lopez will have a homer in this inning. That's the one he has been wearing out, about a knee-high breaking ball.
In the left center field, it's going to drop in the gap. Both outfielders waited on that ball to keep it from getting through, and they'll hold Lopez to a long single.
Either they totally misplayed it, or neither one picked it up right away, because Deion Sanders started charging in and then backed up, and the ball dropped about 5 or 6 feet. Don Gullett saying, give me a left-hander down the
That was a bit
right
surprising to look down in the bullpen right now after 2 home runs, a fly out, and a single, and see nobody warming up until now. Remlinger heading down there again.
He's already thrown some, so it won't take him very long to get ready, but I think you'd like him out there right now against Ryan Klesko.
Felix Rodriguez, a right-hander, is also heading down to begin to loosen up for Cincinnati. 0-1 the count on Ryan Klesko. Klesko singled, walked, and struck out. One ball, one strike. 7-3 Atlanta on top as they try to make it 6 straight wins over the Reds this year. That'll be out of play, 1-2. Pretty good power numbers.
Well, they played a little bit of a different kind of offense the first half. Remember, there were stolen base totals were up, batting averages up, run production about the same, but the 3-run homers were down, so they've gone to plan B for the second half.
Here's the 2-2, strike 3 call, inside corner. Klesko caught looking. First strikeout for Tomko. 2 outs in the inning. And Mark Lemke will be the hitter. Lemke has walked, bounced back to the pitcher, and fly to right.
Rays are giving John Smoltz some runs to work with in his first 22 games, 104. That's about a little over 4.5. Now tonight, 7 to play with and 9 hits to go along with it.
On the ground, right side, fielded by Boone. And that'll do it for the Braves in the 8th. But the back-to-back home runs by Chipper Jones and Fred McGriff have made it a 7-3 Atlanta lead, heading to the bottom of the 8th.
Well, he just folded up his sign, but apparently Paul and Annabelle have fans up here too. The sign said dinner and a movie, and that's what's coming up right after the ball game. It's Whoopi Goldberg tonight and Jumping Jack Flash. Paul and Annabelle tonight will be preparing Whoopi's B-flat flatbread. Sounds interesting. That'll be coming up next after the ball game right here on the Superstation. I wonder what they're putting on that.
Salsa. You put salsa on everything these days.
Now, I also wonder, now let's suppose we have a long game. Do they cook early and put it aside, or do they have to send their on go and throw the stuff together real quick so they can be ready when the movie starts?
I think it's all live.
Wow. Boy, is that pressure.
They're standing by even as we speak. Curtis Goodwin pinch hitting for Brett Tomko. He is hitting .271, a homer, 12 RBIs on the year. Foul, back 0-2.
I want them to show that movie Wagons West, and so they can make that oxtail soup. That is great stuff.
1 ball, 2 strikes, the count. There goes Goodwin down on strikes. That is strikeout number 8 for Smoltz. And out number 1 here in the 8th.
5th time this year John Smoltz has registered 8, ties his season high.
Now Deion Sanders, who has struck out, fly to center, bounced back to the pitcher. 0 for 3 against Smoltz tonight, and just 3 for 16 lifetime against his former teammate.
He gets mixed reviews here when he comes to bat.
One ball, no strikes. What do you know? A dollar sign in that sign out there, that banner.
And playa is Spanish for beach, too. I have no idea what that means. Prime Times Beach.
2-0 the count. It's 3-0 on Deion. 4 walks, 8 strikeouts in the game for Smoltz, and his walks have come in just sudden spurts where he hasn't been able to throw a strike. He's walked several of those 4 on 4 straight pitches. There's a strike to count 3-1. Alan Embry up now in the Atlanta bullpen.
And with a 4-run lead, Javi Lopez is doing the right thing behind in the count. He is just setting up right down the middle.
It's full now, 3-2. Strike 3 called, outside corner. 9th strikeout for Smoltz. Out number 2 here in the bottom of the 8th.
Strike 2 might have been close, but I don't think there's any doubt about strike 3. Take a look at this one. Javi Lopez this time slides to the outer half, but if Smoltz hits the mitt, that's a strike. He did, and it is.
That is John Smoltz' strikeout high for the season. And now Pokey Reese taking strike 1. Of course, we all remember the all-time strikeout high for John Smoltz. Came in Montreal a few years back. Struck out 15. Another 1-2-3 inning. We go to the 9th. 7-3 Atlanta. We go to the 9th inning. Braves up 7-3 thanks to 4 home runs tonight by grand slam Jeff Blauser, solo shots by Chipper Jones, Fred McGriff, and Andrew Jones. And John Smoltz going to lead things off, hitting against the new pitcher, left-hander Mike Remlinger, making his 51st appearance. He's 3-4 with a couple of saves, ERA right at 3. He has been one of the busier relief pitchers in the National League this year. He's tied for 3rd in the league now in appearances. There's a strike to Smoltz. Smoltz 0 for 2 with a walk. Tomko worked 2 innings, allowed 3 hits, 2 runs, and struck out 1. Here's the 1-1 on the way. Little check swing tap down the first base side foul. 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Smoltz. 2 more games in this series. The Braves home then for 3 against the Cubs, and then begins a very important stretch in the schedule for Atlanta. 4 games at Florida, then 2 games at Pittsburgh, 2 games at home against St. Louis, then 4 more with the Florida Marlins. 8 games in a 12-game stretch against the team that's right behind Atlanta, along with the Mets. Remlinger strikes out Smoltz. 1 gone. Back to the top of the order now, and Jeff Blauser. Florida's upped its lead over the Cardinals 4-0 now, with the Marlins batting in the top half of the 6th inning. The Mets play later on tonight at San Diego.
Rumor mill has it that they're not through dealing, that getting Darren Dalton was just a forerunner of a few other things that should happen before, what, a week from last night? 31st?
The 31st of July. Although that's sort of an artificial deadline. You can still make deals after that, but you have to clear players through waivers, and most times you can do it. Every now and then somebody will block you, but not always.
I have a feeling that if the Florida Marlins are ahead of the Mets, if you put an equipment man on the list, the Mets are going to claim it.
Here's the 2-0, and there's a strike. 2-1.
Remember, the Braves did that a couple of years ago when Dennis Martinez had been swapped. Well, Porter, a lot of people would claim Jeff Porter. I guess he's a good one. He'd be a starter and a reliever.
Back our way, just into the seats below us.
Remember
the count 2-2.
San Francisco had a deal with Montreal made for Dennis Martinez, and the Braves claimed him, and I guess he had 10-5 and wouldn't come down here.
Did he go? They appeal to first. No, says Paul Nauert. Count full, 3-2.
Because I think the claims are honored in reverse order of the standings.
Right. And down to first with a walk goes Blauser. First issued by Remlinger. And it'll bring up Danny Bautista, who is 0 for 4 on the night. 2 strikeouts, a pop out, a fly ball to center.
Are you as impressed lately with his play in the outfield as I am?
Covers a lot of ground, has a good arm. Not much more you can ask for.
Apparently a very accurate arm, too.
The Braves have found out in the last few weeks that they're a little deeper maybe than they thought they were, with Bautista getting the playing time, with Kenny Lofton on the disabled list. The 3 pitchers brought up from Richmond who you didn't hear anything about really before they were called up, and they've all done good jobs.
Kenny Lofton comes back. Bobby Cox is going to find out how creative he can be in math, because he's going to have to try to make 5 go into 3. 3 spots in the outfield and 5 guys who are doing a good job.
And Lofton's return to the active roster could come any day. He looked pretty good out there before the game today. Out to second, Boone to short. Pokey Reese on to first. 4-6-3 double play. That'll take care of the Braves. And the top half of the 9th inning, 7-3, and John Smoltz going to work in the bottom of the 9th. We go to the bottom half of the 9th inning. 7-3 Atlanta. Reggie Sanders, Willie Green, Joe Oliver due up against John Smoltz. Mark Wohler's up in the Atlanta bullpen in case trouble starts here in the 9th. Smoltz has retired 5 in a row, and Reggie Sanders 0 for 3 leads it off. He's flat out twice and struck out once, and takes ball 1. Outside corner, 1 ball, 1 strike.
I like the way he's pitched the last 2 or 3 innings, getting ahead, pitching aggressively, taking the inside half of the plate out of play, and throwing good fastballs on the outside part. Put the ball in play.
The 1-1. 1 ball, 2 strikes now, and Sanders. Only 2 hits allowed tonight by Smoltz. A single by Hal Morris, followed immediately by a 2-run homer by Brett Boone. That came back in the 5th inning. And there goes Sanders, and that's strikeout number 10 for Smoltz. Since the home run by Boone, the only man to reach was John Nunnally with that walk in the 7th.
Got him set up fastballs away, throws him a breaking ball for a strike, then throws him a breaking ball out of the strike zone. He's pitching like a guy on cruise control, effortlessly, the way you like to see somebody pitch with a 4-run lead.
Willie Green 0 for 3 takes a strike 0-1. Oh, and 2. Just missed. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Another American League final. Milwaukee's beaten Detroit 6-1. That's over now. Little pop shallow right field. Bautista plays a very deep right field. Long run, but he's got the speed to cover the ground. 2 down. Crowd tonight of 34,931 on hand. And the Reds are down to their last hope, Joe Oliver, who has walked, grounded out to short, and fly to center. Jack McKeon's first night as a Cincinnati Reds manager haven't been too pleasant. His team got back in it back in the 5th inning when they scored 3 runs to make it 4-3. But then the Braves started playing long ball again. 3 more solo homers. It's now 7-3, 2 outs in the 9th.
Boy, Pete, here's a success to pitching well against anybody. 1 through 5, take them totally out of the ball game. It's hard to score runs when those guys aren't getting on base.
Here's the 1-1. 1 and 2. Smoltz perhaps just 1 pitch away from his 4th complete game and 9th win of the year. And here comes the 1-2 pitch. Fly ball left field. Ryan Plesko is there. He's under it. He's got it. And the Atlanta Braves have won 6 straight against the Cincinnati Reds this year. Tonight getting a root-going performance from John Smoltz, who wins his 9th of the season, strikes out 10 along the way. The final, Braves 7, Cincinnati 3.
Couple of good choices tonight. If you want to pick a player of the game, John Smoltz goes 9. A 2-hitter, strikes out 10. He picks up his 9th win. But our AutoZone player of the game, a guy who also had a good night. Jeff Blauser was only 1 for 4, but it was his 4th career grand slam. It came in the 2nd inning after a single by Klesko, a walk to Lemke and to Smoltz. It was big because on the road it's nice to jump on top. Blauser knows he's got it well, but did he get it well enough? A grand slam homer, 4 RBIs, an early lead that John Smoltz made stand up. Jeff Blauser is our AutoZone player of the game. We'll come back to Synergy Field to put a lid on it right after this.
Think an all-purpose water. Rust-Oleum. The ultimate defense against weather.
Braves baseball on the Superstation is brought to you by Aflac, helping to fill the gaps left by your regular insurance. Aflac, insuring over 40 million people worldwide. By the 62,000 professionals at Delta Airlines, who proudly put you on top of the world. And by AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts.
Good start for the Braves here in this weekend series in Cincinnati, scoring early, making it stand up, winning it 7-3. The rest of the total, 7 runs on 9 hits without an error and 4 stranded for the Braves. The Reds, 3 runs on only 2 hits. Brett Boone's 3-run homer, all the damage there. They played airless ball. They stranded 2. John Smoltz evens his record at 9-9, a route-going performance, his 4th of the year. Pete Schurik gets the loss. He is now 5-6, 2 hours and 17 minutes, 34,931. A couple more tidbits for you. 4th time the Braves have hit 4 home runs in a game this season, and the Braves now, Pete, go to 34-19. That's one of the best road records in baseball.
And they even up the road trip record at 2-2. They'll play again tomorrow afternoon, and our next telecast will be on Sunday at 2:10 against Cincinnati. It'll be Greg Maddux facing Dave Burba in that one. America's Funniest Home Videos coming up next. Then stay with the Superstation at 10:30 for Dinner and a Movie. Paul and Annabelle preparing Whoopi's B-flat flatbread for the movie Jumpin' Jack Flash. It's good with salsa, folks. We'll see you on Sunday. Until then, for Don Sutton, Skip Carey, Joe Simpson, and our entire TBS crew, Pete Van Wern from Synergy Field, Cincinnati, the Braves are winners, 7-3. Good night, everyone.
The preceding has been an exclusive presentation of Turner Sports. In 1998, cable television's exclusive host for the 18th Olympic Winter Games from Nagano, Japan, and the 4th Goodwill Games.